Sabah, I'm delighted to have you with us today. As I mentioned before, you're with us for like already a long time, and you filmed a movie for like 20 minutes, 20 minutes movie about the demolition of the village of Al Araqib. At the very beginning of the demolition series, 2010. Sabah, I would like to ask you how this experience, taking being a participant in this project, how did it affect your confrontation with the police or about your daily life in Al Araqib? The 2010 eviction was a very harsh time for us. We had some cellular phones and we used to take photos with our mobile phones. But the photography workshop gave me the confidence to take pictures to document the evictions as they happen. I have more confidence doing this, and I'm more um, more confident and more. I don't have fear from the police anymore in documenting those violations and those crimes. So there are sometimes you hear people saying that it didn't happen. People who deny facts about what took place in Al Araqib. But what I managed to do with the material we are actually creating, we are it's the evidence that we present for what happened in Al Araqib, and so people in the unrecognized villages should have their dreams, should have their feelings being respected. So, Sabah, how is your reaction to the police forces coming to evict you and demolish your village? They're also having their cameras, and they're also documenting this. The camera does not lie. The camera tells the truth. I mean, even though the Israeli officials or Israeli forces or the Israeli media publish the truth, our camera is telling our story. It's very important to me to document how those forces use violence against the children, how they actually destroy our belongings. So the camera gave me confidence, gave me the ability not to be scared of the police. Do you feel stronger with this camera? I feel much stronger with this camera, and it gave me strength also in other issues, not just regarding home demolitions. Also, when I'm not in my best shape, I go and take photo of a sunset. I document some other issues, some other things in my daily life, and give me a lot of strength. Sabah, we are grateful for you for being with us. Thank you very much. We are having a lot of problems in Al Araqib with the Sheikh Sayyah and his family. We are being persecuted. I was arrested more than once. And our message to everybody, despite all those challenges, despite all those difficulties we are facing, and the ongoing legislation against the Arab community, despite everything, we have to remain united. And despite all those dark events, all those difficulties, we have also life in Araqib. We have children who are attending universities, girls, and we have confidence. We have the strength that we will overcome all what the Israeli state violate. We would like to remind you that we are having a weekly sit-in Al Araqib, and we are having the Friday prayer being held in Al Araqib every week. So the Al Arakib village is still there, still struggling, still fighting for recognition. You can see the photo exhibition running somewhere here in the background, and we normally held this held photo exhibition in the physically, but now you can see the photos which were taken over the course of the last years. So I would like to switch to Maryam. Maryam and Nasasre from Tel Arad, one of the unrecognized villages. Maryam, are you there? So we will go now to Basma Abu Khutti. Basma is one of the photographers who participated in the workshops over the course of the last years. So Basma, we would like to hear from you about your experience taking photos in Attir and Umm al Hiran. And did you sense any difference between your first photo, your first shot, and nowadays? I'm really grateful for everybody for being here. I'm grateful for the forum for giving me the opportunity to instruct and teach those women. There is a special place in my heart for Attir and Umm al Hiran. I would like to three positive things about this experience. In regard of the women who participated in the workshops in Attir and Umm al Hiran, I sensed their strength. I sensed that they have passion for their village being recognized, their village being developed. The climate of Umm al Hiran, the topography of the place. The very first day I came to Umm al Hiran, we have a fence separating the Jewish community being established on the ruins of Umm al Hiran, a Jewish settlement called Hiran, and the Arab Bedouin community Umm al Hiran. They were very thirsty to have their voice being heard with those photos that they would like to take. I was very excited, and I was very excited, and I was very delighted to see that those women want to change want to have an impact in their life. A story that I have heard in the village at at my arrival, a story about Sliman, a young boy who was actually very happy seeing those people working on the construction of this fence, and he went to them and asked them, "What are you doing there?" They told him that we are building a new village, and he was enthusiastic about those villages. I mean, another village that will be neighboring them. See, he was actually happy about new neighbors who are coming and living there. And it was very, very sad to tell Sliman that those people, those new arrivals, they will not be your neighbors. They will take your place. What I hear today when I go to Attir and to Umm al Hiran, there is this sense of depression when people go to the village. Just to remind you that Umm al Hiran is being displaced, actually, and in the process of displacement. So when people go to the village, they actually feel terrible that they will have to leave this village. So there are some stories about this daily life of Umm al Hiran when the water, I mean, the water supply is not consistent in Umm al Hiran. So there are times in the day that we don't have any water in the village. So when the water is running, people are getting happy, and everybody is filling their containers, water containers, etc. About themselves, how was this experience? If you have any stories. The saddest thing I witnessed is actually demolitions taking place during our workshop. Another situation that I really remember is waking up or getting to these villages and seeing this demolition warrants being put on the walls of those houses. Of course, one of the obviously the most tragic event is actually witnessing Yaqub Abul being shot and being killed by the police. And this was very difficult. It was very harsh for me. I mean, getting to the place and seeing all those houses, all those beautiful houses being demolished, places where I took photos, places where we used to I was being hosted by those people. We have a lot of attendees from Jaffa. They hear you and they are really excited from the photos and from the stories they listen to. It was very hard time seeing this village being evicted and those houses being demolished. People, I used to spend time with the people. Children I used to see playing and happy, and seeing them broken, seeing them desperate is very sad. Raid Abul Gaan, who is a representative of the local committee of Al Hiran, would like to say something. Basma, I would like to thank you. I'm very grateful for your effort of what you have done in Al Hiran with the children. Mariam from Tal Arad. Tal Arad is not that far away, guys. Mariam, we appreciate your effort being with us today. Mariam should probably change her location or just move for a better, because we can't hear her. Because apparently the internet connection is not that strong in Tel Arad. So I will call Mariam and put her on speaker and you can hear her. And so Mariam with us on the phone. Welcome, Mariam. It's just a reminder of the internet and communication infrastructure in those unrecognized villages. And over the course of the Corona time, and that there are a lot of students who are actually suffering, and there are also some electricity shortages due to the fact that those villages are not connected to the electricity grid and they are relying on solar panels. Mariam, I would like to ask you about the video you have recorded. Mariam had a very exciting video about the garden and the daily life she is maintaining in Tal Arad. I'm very happy to be able to take photos and take videos of the garden I have. And, on the same page, I'm saddened by the fact that all our land is being confiscated and we are not being able to farm it. Mariam, would you tell us about the water supply in Tal Arad? Once we used to have some water containers, but in the last year we managed to get connected to the water supply, but it's very expensive and we are paying overpriced prices for the water supply. The video I took is actually about our life, about the farming we used to do, and unfortunately we don't have enough water to water the garden. And this video shows the suffering of our community. So water supply is a major issue in our community in Tal Arad. All the services we need, we have to travel to nearby Kseifa or to the nearby Jewish town Arad to get the healthcare services or I mean schools. Even the kindergarten in our communities don't have decent water supply, and there is no decent drinking water in this kindergarten. So I feel I feel a responsibility to convey the message of my community of this suffering, but also of the daily life, the bright side of our community, that there are people who are living, that people who are farming their land, who are willing to take responsibility. And I feel the strength of taking part of changing this reality. We have a question, somebody who would like to ask a question. Basima Salman. Basima is joining us from abroad, and she is telling us that we don't have. Basma is Palestinian, a Palestinian living in Europe, and she's asking, what does it mean when when Maryam is telling us that the water or be it electricity is expensive? What do you mean by expensive? Whenever I tell people here in Europe that Arab or Palestinian communities don't have access to water or to electricity, people are just being surprised. People are just being um, they don't really understand this. So, Mariam, we would like to hear from you more. If you can just tell us more about. Mariam is telling us. Mariam is saying, I'm not connected to the electricity grid, guys. I'm relying on solar panels. This is the electricity we have. So we don't have any. So we have electricity as long as there is sunlight. So after the sunset, we don't have any sunlight anymore. We rely on those batteries where this electricity being stored, but it's not always sufficient to all the needs of the house. Shmulik David is joining us, and he's asking how do women. Shmulik is asking uh, about the experience of those women in times of confrontation with the police. How do actually, how do they, what is their feeling when they see police is coming or where there's any confrontation taking place? How does the presence of cameras affect the police behavior when there are evictions going on or demolitions going on? And how did your family um, responded to that? Sabah is answering that my family didn't have any objection for me joining this photography project. When I take photos, when I take videos and document the evictions and the demolitions, and when the very aggressive behavior of the police, they're getting nervous. They're just 3 weeks ago. I'm just sharing this story with you. Just 3 weeks ago, uh, uh, my son, who is a university student, was actually arrested um, from nowhere, from Al Aragib, sitting under this tree, uh, doing his Zoom lectures. He was arrested. This is very provocative. When very provocative, very whenever I being asked about where do you have this camera from, or why are you taking photos, why are you taking these videos, I always respond. It's very annoying for the police, the presence of these cameras and those videos. Thank you, Sabah. Thank you for all the photographers who took part in this webinar. We would like to go to Karen now, Karen Manor, who was the curator of this exhibition.
Hi, Doctor.
Good evening, Karen. Thank you for joining us. Karen, as I introduced her before, is a member of the Active Stills collaboration. Karen, would you like to tell us about your experience during this photography project, and specifically and explicitly about the events surrounding the killing of Yaqub Abu Lian 3 years ago?
Okay.
I would like to introduce myself. My name is Karen Manor. I'm a photographer. I'm a member of the photography collective Active Stills, and I'm part of the photography project of the NCF. But just in a few words about how I got to photography and to activism. At the very beginning of my way taking photos, I went to Bedouin, to the separation wall. On my arrival to the separation wall and covering the Bedouin demonstration, all the ideas I had um, about the conflict and the realities I was acquainted with as Israeli, they were actually um, they have changed. At the very same day, I I sensed the power of the media in shaping reality, in conveying this message or the other one. So I took the camera with me and I started documenting what going on. And I met three photographers, and we decided to establish the photo collective Active Stills in order to take photography to tell the story and take the camera as a tool for changing the reality. And we believed in the strength of the camera and of photography to change realities and to create a narrative. Active Stills was established 2005, and still I'm very active and very engaged with Palestinian and Israeli photographers, documenting the reality also within the territories and also within Israel, for documenting the colonialist reality in this place. Over the course of the past few years, traveling from place to place, meeting a lot of people, I came to the recognition that the idea of sharing this knowledge and being engaged and being more engaged in workshops within different communities. And I came to the NCF and those photography workshops. One of the most significant events I would like to concentrate on as a photographer and also as documenting, and it is actually the events of surrounding the killing of Abu al-Ghiad in Al-Hiran. We came at night with several activists. Just few minutes before the sunrise, huge police forces raided the village like going on war. After a few minutes, we heard live ammunition being fired. We couldn't see anything. It was dark. I recognized that this is live ammunition, and I understood that I have to document this. I have to. I couldn't hear anything. I just heard you killed him. People shouting everywhere that you killed him. You killed him. I couldn't do anything. Just going on and taking these videos. After the sunrise, the news was coming from the media that a police officer was killed in a hostile event, and the responsible, the one who that the responsible for running over the police was shot. And the people who were there, we knew from the very beginning that it was not true. The Israeli media portrayed the Yaqub Abu al-Ghiad, the resident of Al-Hiran, as a terrorist, despite the fact that in the video I took, you couldn't see much due to the fact that it was dark, but the sound, and we managed to synchronize the sound with the video of the police published, and we could reconstruct the events, and we managed to show that the shooting was before that police officer was actually run over. Was run over. This documentation was very important for me from a lot of reasons. One of them was showing the truth, and giving some justice to Yaqub and to the residents of Hiran. The police and the Israeli authorities attempted to stain and smear actually the Bedouin community and the Hiran community of being terrorists or of being. In our case, we were lucky enough to have witnesses. We were lucky enough to have activists that can actually tell the story and give a different angle from the police narrative. The most striking thing for me was actually how the media and how the Israeli public opinion is willing to embrace the story of the police and totally disregarding the story of the Bedouin community or the story of the residents who were there. And the fact that we were there and we managed to bring this story to shed light on the real story. In the case of Abu Gi'an, unfortunately, he was killed, but we were lucky enough to be able to tell the truth story. And just imagine another places where demolitions or evictions take place and no cameras there. There are no cameras. And this brings me back to what Sabah told about this, the power of the camera, the presence of the camera. The presence of the camera gives power to people to take the reins into their hand in telling the narrative, in telling their story, to control. Nowadays, everybody acknowledges the power and the strength of documentation and of camera. Even the police do. The power of the camera is the fact that it is being able to control the narrative that is being told. The camera gives actually opportunity for people to tell their narrative and actually somehow a shift in balance from the oppressor who is telling the story or the oppressed who is telling his story. The fact that we are trying to be the fact that we are being hindered or that we are being harassed not to take pictures or not to talk with, it means actually that what we are doing is significant. What we are doing is important, and we will keep doing it. So for Sabah and others, as long as they are trying to stop you from taking pictures, from taking videos, then you are doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing. Shmulik is asking, how did you have the guts and courage to continue taking videos and after the shooting? To be honest, I was very scared. I was there and I heard the live ammunition being fired. I was scared, but I do believe that the camera gives us power and gives us this strength. And I understood at the very moment that I have to keep on and to keep on doing what I'm doing. Shmulik is asking, how did you feel when Bibi apologized for the killing of Okay. I was, to be honest, I was very embarrassed by the apology of Bibi, and also I was enraged of this usage of the suffering of the people, suffering that he was actually responsible to. This political and cynical usage of the suffering of the Bedouin, the Al case. Karen, I would like to hear from you more about your experience working with women in general, and not just specifically the case of Al-Hiran. Uh, Tell me more about this. Well, when you went to Al-Hiran to document this what happened there, people already knew you before. For me, working with women was a natural continuation of my work as a documenter, somebody who is documenting the reality, specifically in regard of the conflict. Karen is actually emphasizing the importance of people from the community doing this documentation effort, because um, I come as a documenter from outside, and I have this opportunity to be within the event and also mm, getting outside. But I think the most important thing is the how people document themselves and how people actually doing this for themselves. And I learned a lot from the women, from the way they document their life and how they perceive themselves, and it really affected me. Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. Thank you for the photographers. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, all the photographers who were with us today. I would like to thank all the attendees, people who were with us. Um, I'm delighted to share with you the news we have heard from Saeed about 3 villages being recognized soon, inshallah. And hopefully there are other 3 additional villages that could be recognized soon. But we will see how this the Israeli election will unfold. لا بير المشاش بير الحمام. So just to summarize, guys, thank you, everybody. We are seeing the fruits of the sumud of our community. Those villages being recognized is an immediate result of the steadfastness of the people who remain on their lands. And this is will actually what will make the difference. This photo exhibition will travel to different locations. It will be hosted in Nazareth next week. It will be hosted also in Atira and another location. So follow us, please. And of course, you will have the online platform whenever you you can browse it, and you can see our photo exhibition online. Thank you, everybody.